All right, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to another video. So, like the title of the video suggests, we are going to talk about how to pursue a PhD in European countries, right? More or less, the PhD application system for European countries is the same. But today we have with us Prachi. She's like a recent PhD. She has gone for her PhD in September 2019 to Martin Luther University in Germany, right? And she has also applied to other European countries as well. So it would be a complete discussion, not just about Germany, but other European countries as well. What is the PhD procedure? And most importantly, you don't need to give any entrance exam, like any external entrance exam, like a GRE, TOEFL, or IELTS. She didn't give any exam, and yet she got through. And I'm very happy to actually tell all of you that she got help from a video that I had made with Mahesh, right? He's currently pursuing his PhD in Germany, right, from Max Planck University. So she's basically continuing the trend. Now she just recently got into a PhD program, so she wants to help all of you get into one of the programs, right? So feel free to ask me any questions that you have down in the comment section, and I'll be happy to provide her email ID to you. Also, I have given the timeline to the whole video. Like there are specific, it's a long video, but there are specific questions that I have addressed throughout the video. So if you want to go to a particular question, you can go through that question. I've provided the timeline down in the description box. Another thing, she has given some important links to the Facebook group where you get a lot of opportunities for pursuing PhD, or what are the opportunities that are available for you. There are a lot of students in those groups who are pursuing their PhD or who have pursued their PhD in Germany, so they will definitely help you out. So again, to link the link to all those groups I will provide down in the description box. All right, so now let's begin with the video.
Hi Prachi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. And how are the conditions there in Germany? Is the lockdown has the lockdown ended or it's still in force? Yeah.
So about the COVID situation, I mean, it's pretty much good over here. I think it has been almost, especially in my city, it has been over a month or so that we don't have any restrictions now. Definitely, there are restrictions on partying and stuff like that.
Okay.
But everything is pretty much open now, including gyms and swimming pool and everything.
So have labs also reopened?
Funny thing, my lab was working the entire time of the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So because we have like very few people, and they made restrictions like only one person or maximum 2 person are allowed to work in the lab. So we distributed like ourselves in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're living inside the campus, or you're living outside?
You don't have, like in Germany, you don't have especially living areas for PhD scholars, because they provide their student and works here, and they provide for like bachelor students and master students, and I don't think it's hardly to get a place for PhD scholar. So I'm living outside in the city in an apartment.
Right. So Prachi, can you give us an introduction about yourself? That like your bachelor, where did you do your bachelor's, master's, a bit about yourself, maybe your interest as well.
Yeah, so I am like chemistry honors, like from Gargi College, Delhi University, and then I went ahead to do my master's in similar field from Thapar University, and now I'm currently pursuing PhD in Martin Luther University, Halle, Germany. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So like a lot of students are interested in pursuing PhD from European countries especially. So what are the basic requirements? Are there any entrance exams one needs to give, or are there any exams as such one needs to give to get entry into the PhD programs in European countries in general?
I don't think that there is any such entrance exam, but some of the universities, like especially in Germany as well, they might ask for your IELTS scores.
Okay.
And like for Indians, I think it's not a problem, because like they have two options. Like either you had your entire education in English medium, or you can prove like your last degree you did was in English. Right. So they can just neglect that. Okay. So yeah, there is no entrance exam for you definitely have to appear for the interviews and stuff like that for getting selected.
Did you
But
end up giving any exam, IELTS or some other English proficiency
no,
exam?
no.
Okay.
So actually, yeah, my entire education was in English, and even in my master's like result card, it's written this was an English short program, so you can provide it as a proof.
Okay.
And yeah, it is again.
So basically, unlike your like American countries or America in general, like where you have to give GRE and TOEFL, and in fact, even
Yeah,
in New Zealand, you have to give IELTS. So in European countries, there is like I could say this is a one advantage that without giving any kind of examination, you can directly apply for the programs.
that's true. I mean, that was my one of my major goals, like to end up, because investing in IELTS is an costly exam. I mean, for most of us, and you have to then put in an effort in a different direction, like apart from your subject, and it's very stressful as well. So
Right,
I think,
right.
yeah.
That's a big advantage. One more thing, I would like to ask. So, did you apply to a centralized program? But because, like in US, generally there's a centralized program you apply to the university. But in European
Yeah.
countries, like there are some centralized programs, but majority of them, I think, you can individually apply to professors first. So, like, like, which one did you go for? Was it a centralized thing, or you applied to the individual professors?
I was actually, I mean, to be honest, I was a bit late for my applications. By the time I was finding out, like, how can I apply and stuff like that, it was already 31st of January. And most of the Max Planck, like, these are basically, the major structure in Germany. And they had, like, their deadlines over.
Okay.
So I could apply for one or two, which I got similar to my field.
Right.
But um, I think they work on two different patterns. I applied one for a program in Belgium,
Right.
and it was a very big structured program. It was like RNA motive act something.
Okay.
So they were um, they wanted a team of like 12 PhD scholars. Like four of them, they wanted to work on like structure, determining the structure of the motives, and then characterization, and then application. Four.
Right.
So yeah, that was the entire project. So it was a very good project, although like you have options of living in different countries like every 6 months, and they had like lab exposure and industrial exposure.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, theoretical, computational, everything.
Right.
So it was a very good structured program. And they had like, I'll tell about this program for the while. And okay, so I applied through their online platform, and then I had to fill on some basic information like my CV and my letter of motivation, and I had to give email addresses of my referees, and
Right.
just the basic data,
Okay.
and why I was like interested in this program and stuff like that.
Right.
And yeah, after then they will like roughly approx 15 to 20 days they replied me back that I got into the first round. And then there was this interview with my potential like supervisor.
Online interview.
So yeah, online video call, yeah.
Yeah.
So I got into that as well. He was very friendly, and it was a very relaxed conversation, and he just wanted to know like what were my interests, why what I did in the previous background, and why especially I chose this program. And I mean, they're not trying to be like really
Yeah.
you know hard or anything. It was a very normal conversation, so it was not a proper interview. It was just a get to know your background thing.
Okay. Right.
Yeah,
So it was not a technical interview, or sort of.
yeah, it was not, yeah, it was, that's the word, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Right. Got it. So, so this was one centralized program. So the current program you are in, that is, like for that, did you apply individually, or that was also a centralized application?
Yeah, for that actually it was like I actually made a list of which were the prominent universities, eminent universities, and like which professors or which scientists are working in my field of interest. And then I was simultaneously looking at their college and university websites for any advertisements for PhD scholars. And yeah, and I applied through that.
Okay.
So most of these advertisements are in German. You have to do a lot of groundwork, like, converting and translating. But
Okay.
once you get it, the entire program is in English. So
Okay.
that's not an issue. Yeah.
So, in short, it was a centralized program, even this one.
No, yeah, you can say it like that.
Okay.
Actually, the professor, it's not centralized. He he himself like puts an ad on, like he wants to take the
Okay.
student now.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
on the university page.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So basically, he
Yeah.
puts up like PhD positions are open under my guidance or
Yeah.
under my supervision,
Yeah.
and then you apply to the professor directly.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
That's
And
true.
then if he is interested, then he approaches then you have to approach the university, right? Something of
Yeah,
that sort.
and you have to like write him an email, or they are different. They'll provide you a link or something that where you can fill in your information, and then they'll shortlist the students, and then you have to like maybe interact with the professor, give an interview or something, and
Right.
then you get like
Right.
so.
So, can you give so I think this would be very helpful if you can give a complete overview, even though it would be a little longer, but I think that would be really beneficial. Like from the starting, from scratch, how did you end up, in Germany? So, like, even though I know that the whole description would be long, but in short, if you could
Yeah.
provide, like, what are the steps, and also if you could really share some links to some useful websites that really help you out. So I could give the link down in the description box.
Yeah,
So
sure.
whoever is interested, they can really go through those links.
Okay, so as I said, like I started applying in January and last year,
Okay.
and yeah, and I was searching like where I can get PhD without giving IELTS and stuff like that, and then I came across these platforms. Especially the Facebook groups, these are really helpful. There's a one page like Dole pages, and there are several pages like that, like where you get like vacancies for PhDs, and then you have eujobs.com, and you have that specially which is designed for like PhDs in Germany. And I was looking out for the PhD positions open for my field,
Okay.
and then I sort of shortlisted the ones I was really interested in, about how was like my professor, their background and
Right,
stuff
right,
like that.
right.
And I ended up applying in 4 programs, and that was one that was kind of a centralized European PhD program
The one
that
that you
was in
applied to
Belgium,
Belgium.
and another one like 2 in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, I was asking like, so you applied to two in Germany, one in Belgium, and one was a centralized program.
Yeah, one was from Italy.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
got it. Right.
So
Yeah.
and all of these like 2 of them were like from the centralized, one I got from the eujobs.com, and the other one I got from somewhere from the Dole pages. And apart from these 2 of them, I was like had shortlisted my professors, my like the prominent scientists who are working in this field, and I was continuously checking out their web pages and their university pages for ads.
Okay.
And from there I got the 2 other positions.
So among the 4
And
applications,
after that I applied, I gave
yeah, among the 4 applications,
yeah.
was there any difference, or most of them had the common procedure?
No, you just have to like have in hand like 4 basic things. Your CV, which should be very professional and just very straightforward, because like people add a lot of things in their CV which is not necessary. Just write down your grades, your projects undertaken, and your like hobbies or your achievements related to your academics.
Right.
I mean, nobody is really happy about like you played football in class 5th or so. So yeah.
Like recent achievements, basically.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Right.
And like what sort of conferences you have attended and stuff like that. And about your letter of motivation, I feel it's more of a storytelling about your background and like how in bachelor's and what excites you and why you chose a similar subject in master's, and what projects did you work on, and what were your expertise, and what instruments you handled, and do you have a publication or something. I mean, even if you have a manuscript in writing, that really pushes you. But I would say that publications are not really important. If you have if you have good expertise on
Right.
if you had handled like different type of instruments. Yeah.
So, like if you have prior research
So,
experience, that would be much
and
more
then
beneficial.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
that's
okay.
true. And yeah, and for me, I think it was also because I did my summer internships in all a similar field, and even my master's project was also revolving around fluorescence. So it gave me a very good leverage. Like even in my at the end of my master's, I had like 7 to 8 or 1 year of experience working on those projects.
All right, all
So
right. So you had some
yeah,
experience, research experience in your bachelor's also, or you got it in master's itself?
in master's itself.
Okay, and during bachelor's, you were
Yeah.
like you didn't apply for research in that.
No. Yeah. It's no.
Okay, right.
And yeah.
So
And the third
did
thing
you
I
have
was
a
like was CV.
sorry, did you have any prior plans of applying to Germany, or it just somehow it came up?
It came up because, to be honest, that's what I mean. I wanted to work in a very good lab, the ones like ICER, and it's very hard to find such facility in India. And if you are narrowing down, to particular proteins and stuff like that, so I just wanted that anyway. So and then I had this option, like, yeah, why not, try for abroad.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, and there are plenty of options, like the funding is amazing and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and the third thing I'm missing out is
Mhm.
your references. That also matters a lot. So if you are in the good books of your referees and you have strong references, that really does a job. And yeah, and your
And
references like should, yeah, they ask for your 3 references basically, like your master's thesis guide, and because then they know like you have worked with him officially, and maybe your some internship guide and any other teachers or any master's teachers or anything. So you can have like 4 to 5 references in hand, so at least just mail out to professors that I will be applying for the universities, and just have your thought in their mind. So
mm,
when I apply to this platform, I just fill in the email ID of my professors, and somehow if they don't like reply to the feedback of mine, my application will get rejected.
okay, okay, okay. So you should
Yeah.
like make sure that your professors do reply to their emails. Like you
Yeah.
should like take a
Yeah,
feedback.
so they had like for the Belgian program, they had like very very well done system, computerized like how do I say it, well done program. And
Yeah.
like when my professor sent in my feedback, so I got a mail as well that she has submitted your reference.
You got an update
So
basically. Yeah.
yeah, and apart from that, yeah, so I waited for some time, like 15 days or 20 days, and then the second round started after the first round of
Okay.
selection.
So this
That
is
was
so
like
one second. Sorry for interrupting in
yeah,
between.
like
Uh, just one
mm-hmm,
second. Yeah, I wanted to know. So basically,
yeah,
like just to summarize. So for the first thing that you need to have in hand is let's say a CV, a statement of purpose or a motivation letter, and a letter and 3 letters of
mm-hmm,
recommendation. Right.
yeah,
All right. And apart
yeah,
from that, like for example, if you're applying to a centralized program, then of course you need these three. But for example, when you're applying to Germany or when you're applying to the professors, in like particular, like you said, there are particular openings under professors themselves. Like they take it out on their webpage. So then, how do you like? Do you write something in the email as well? Just a short description of what you're doing.
yeah, you have to, I mean, you have to write apart you have to write a journal intro that I've been like I have been following you for quite some time, and I'm interested in your work, and especially in this field, and I have done similar work, and it would be great that if I can get an opportunity to associate myself in your group or in your lab, like, so definitely an intro works.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first round. We
And
do
then
the
you
application.
attach your CV and letter of motivation in the mail, and
Right.
let's hope they reply.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, let's be a bit honest over here. So if you applied to, let's say, like, how many professors did you apply to individually, and how many you got a reply from?
Yeah, apart from these, like, these were the openings, the four to which I applied, I just mentioned earlier, and I
Right.
got into three. Apart from that, I was personally writing to professors as well, like
Right.
from the similar field, and I think maybe out of 20 or 30, maybe my bad timings, because I was a bit late, I think five or seven replied, and they were asking me to apply for the next sem
Okay, but at least you
for
got
the
a reply.
starting of
That's
November.
actually great, because I have
Yeah.
heard students, like, they don't get replies at all. Like, it just goes unresponded.
Yeah, because to be honest, that happens because, like, people have a very particular format, and they just have the professors in their email, and they send to everybody. You have to be very specific to whom you are talking about. So if you are sending to XYZ person, you have to say dear XYZ, and you have to search. Yeah, and it works for your letter of motivation and your CV as well. Like, suppose I was applying in some program related to NMR, so I had to upgrade those keywords in my CV and my letter of motivation. So these keywords should come. I mean, I have to modify my CV and letter of motivation according to the requirement.
It should be
So
personalized,
yeah,
basically.
it can. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and we were on the second round.
Yeah.
For the second round is like they'll ask you to send like a 5-page PPT about your previous work, and something related to the project, and they'll take some time, and then they'll have a one-on-one interview with you, and then like they'll have your presentation, and they'll ask you questions like how you did this, and it's just journal things. I mean, if you have done research, if you have really worked on that project, so they'll just ask you very basic science questions,
Okay. Right.
just to check, yeah, that you really worked on it, and you are not, you have just randomly put it.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Okay.
yeah. And after these are, I mean, for me also, like, because I didn't plan for this from the start. I didn't had a passport. So especially for this Belgium meeting, they in the end of April, like before just 10 days of the final interview, they asked me, oh, you have to be here like in 10 days.
Okay.
And I was like, that's not possible. Then I requested them that can they arrange something online for me, because even the flight tickets were very expensive. They were like for 1 lakh or something,
Okay.
and it's basically impossible to get a visa and arrange everything in 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So
That's an important point. Like, you need to have a passport, because you could be called immediately as well.
yeah.
Right.
So and then luckily for me, they shifted it to an online interview, because
Okay.
this was definitely the case with several other students as well, and it worked out great. So but Germany is like really stable in research, and PhD is an employment here, so I don't have to pay any PhD fees. So yeah, so I just have to pay like a semester contribution, that is for my transportation and having the student benefits. So
Okay.
like discounts in Mensa and like eateries and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's, yeah. And sorry, I got a little bit distracted. And then here comes like the final round. Belgium
It's okay.
program, I interacted with like two different scientists. So like it was like a second round of interview,
Okay.
more technical, and what are your plans, and get to know it was like when you can join and stuff like that. So
Okay.
and what will be your ideas in this particular project, like if we are doing this, how will you execute this project if you get this job? Like
Mhm.
it was something like this.
So
So
basically, they
I
got your
mean,
technical skills only in during when you're making the PPT, right? After that, it's more of like general get to know interview rounds
yeah, for the second interview also, like when I made the PPT, they discussed my presentation and asked me several questions about it.
based on the PPT
And
itself.
even for, yeah,
Okay.
and from the PPT itself, and like in journal, I mean, how did you do this, how did you do that, and stuff like that. And for the third round, they wanted to get like more of future insight, like if you have, like if you are coming in for this project, how will you execute this project? They
Okay.
already wanted like some, yeah, inputs from you, which was really difficult because like I was not getting any data from online or anywhere else, like about those, especially for like RNO motives, there is not much work published. And I'm it's just, you just have to give them random, scientific, like not
Logical,
random,
logical
your
conclusions.
scientific approach.
Right,
Yeah,
right, right,
your
right,
scientific approach.
right.
So
Okay. So you were not personally called for the interview, like if I'm not wrong, like generally they call for the last round, they call for a interview in person rather than online.
yeah, that's not everywhere. I mean, it's sometimes even it's not everywhere. I think in Max Planck's,
Okay.
have that, but it's not mandatory. Like you can request if it's possible, if you can request like an online interview, and you can tell them like you are not financially stable, and even if they are reimbursing, but so you can do
Right,
that. It's not mandatory because I have a lot of friends over here who just had an online interview
right.
and they didn't visit it, yeah, the
So
department earlier.
if like I have to summarize, so first you need to apply with your CV, your letter
Yeah,
of motivation, sorry, your letter of recommendation and a motivation letter or a statement of purpose, whatever you like to call it.
yeah,
Then you are
yeah,
shortlisted based on that, and you are like they test your like they would like have an online interview where they might ask you like they're more or less interested in the project that you have done before, some research project that you have done, and then
yeah,
based on that, based from like depending from university to university, you might have a second round as
yeah,
well. Okay.
that's true.
Right. Anything you would want to add up to this?
uh Nothing much. I mean, this is not related to this probably, but like there's, apart from these like directly getting a PhD position, they have like several internships as well, or 1 month or 2 month training programs. So I came across few people who joined that training program and internships, or like a summer semester or something, and they did some research. And even for like I have a friend who did something for like 10 days in Germany.
Wow, that's
And
very interesting. Like I didn't know about that. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
that was something
and
interesting to talk about. Yeah.
yeah, and then he ended up getting a PhD. So because the professor get to know in person like how is your approach and how are you working in the lab and stuff like that.
Obviously, that
So
increases your chances to a great extent.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're not getting a PhD all of a sudden, which was like for the third a case for me as well, when I applied for two professors in Germany. The other one was from TU Munich, which is like a
Okay.
very top university in Germany. I was getting into a 3 months program, and most of the time they extend because they have funding. They extend your project, and you end up being a PhD scholar.
So do you get any stipend for that internship, for 3 months internship, whatever that is? Do you get any stipend?
The internet is insane. Yeah.
I was asking, do you get any stipend for the internships?
Yeah, it depends upon the groups to group, but mostly in Germany, I think you don't have to worry about stipends. I mean, you can
Okay.
approach that. They provide you 1,000 euros generally for a PhD scholar, and I think stipend is not a really big issue in Germany.
So is the for
And
applying for the internship, the procedure is very similar to how you apply for PhD? Like you have to individually approach professors?
yeah, I mean, for the internships, they also have like a very structured program. So you get all sorts of internships and everything in U jobs and at that itself.
Okay.
And yeah, for scholarships also, like there are special programs, like even just yesterday I was reading a mail from that, and they said like if one of the PhD scholars or other students wants to have their semester abroad and they want to associate themselves with people in other countries and they need scholarship for that apart from your stipend, so you know it's manageable
Okay.
within your PhD. Yeah.
So I think that would, if it would be very useful to the aspirants who are planning to do a PhD abroad or maybe have a research internship abroad. If you could like I said in the description box, I'll give the links to the various websites. So I think that would
Yeah.
be really helpful to someone because that's where a lot of students struggle. They don't get to know about the opportunities that are available for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. All right. So,
Yeah.
all right. So this is like a general procedure, I would say. Now I would want to ask you a few things. When you're applying for the initial application, I think most of the rejects come from the initial application procedure itself, because after that it depends on how
Mm.
well you are or how well you have done the research or like how well you can present your data or how well you can defend your data. But in the initial application part, which needs to be very impressive. So what do you feel is the most important aspect, or what are the some of the key aspects one needs to really keep in mind when they're applying?
Yeah. So one of them, as I said, your application should be very personalized.
Right.
I mean, because most of these systems, like the big programs, they have like automatic selection things. So it picks up only those applications who have those keywords.
Okay.
So yeah, you have to include these keywords, and apart from that,
Can you give an
uh,
example?
your more
Can you give a hypothetical example of what you mean by keywords, so for a better understanding?
yeah, like for keywords, like I was trying to apply in the field of proteins only, but like you can work with different techniques, like there is NMR, and I mean I was more interested in something photophysical and fluorescence and stuff like that. So you just have to modify. I mean, if you are sending I'm sending an application, I'm having like I studied these subjects, or even in my letter of motivation, I worked on these instruments like fluorescence and stroke flow and stuff like that. In NMR application, that won't really help me.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah,
So you have to like
so
basically like you have to emphasize on those aspects that would be helpful for that program, basically. Like you have to.
yeah, exactly. So they are looking for that. I mean, that won't help your background. It if you have worked on those techniques, definitely. And apart from that, your letter of motivation should be like it should be very crisp, and it should tell you about your experience and about your like what techniques you have worked on and what are your future goals, and how you got more motivation factor that you are applying for this programs basically, or you want to work in this field.
Basically, they are going to gauge your personality through your motivation letter. That's the only aspect.
Exactly.
Right. 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 Okay. And like you
Exactly.
said, the CV should be crisp and to the point. Like no extra information,
Yeah.
no needless information should be there.
Yeah. I think personally, I feel, especially for Germany, good grades really work for you. So because they have a different grading system in journal, even if for the master students, if they're applying, so they have a grading system from 1 to 4,
Okay.
where 1 is the highest thing. So if you get like somewhere between 1 and 2.5, you have high possibility of getting into German universities. And 2.5 I will roughly convert into Indian system grading system. It's 7 CGPA, above 7 CGPA.
Okay.
So Yeah, things
Right.
get really easy for you.
Right. So
Yeah,
yeah, I have also heard this that in generally in European countries, the grades are given importance along with the research experience as
exactly.
well. Right. And like you said, I think
Yeah.
publications are not very important, right, when you're applying abroad.
I mean, it totally depends upon the professor to professor.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did you have any publications when you were applying, or was there any manuscript
I
under?
actually, at that point of time, I had written a manuscript and I just mentioned it that it's still under a process. And yeah, and like even in my interviews or anywhere, like nobody really asked me about the publications.
Okay, right. So, like, I
Yeah.
think so I would say that in your CV, I think the grades and the research experience matters a lot. Like these two factors matter a
Yeah,
lot.
that's I think it comes from the different research environment in India and in Germany, especially for Germany. Like even your professor and everybody is open to your research ideas, even if you are not getting. I mean, I have seen people having PhDs for 6 years and don't have publications, and they are doing well.
Right, right.
So publication is not their priority. I mean, they want to go for science.
That's great. That's nice.
Yeah, they're
Um,
open
s-
to ideas.
okay. And what about this? What do you call this letter of recommendation? How important do you feel is that?
I think for me, it also played a very good role,
Okay.
and it's definitely important. I mean, if you have worked in a good lab and your professor has like definitely he'll has your contacts and a good image about in that environment in that society, so it definitely helps to associate your name with under that lab or that group.
Right, right, right.
So
So I think like if I go stepwise, I think first one needs to focus to improve. If someone has already cleared masters, then obviously they cannot improve the grades. But if someone is planning to apply to Europe in the future, they should concentrate on the grades and they should try and get as much research experience as possible. I think that is two factors
yeah,
that really need to focus
yeah, that's true.
on. Okay, okay, that's nice.
And I mean, or somebody who's already planning it since for masters, maybe it will be really good opportunity if they can, land themselves in an internship or a very short-term research training
Right,
before
right, right.
completing their masters. Yeah,
So is the
and that
application
would really help.
procedure very similar for the internships? Like you
Yeah,
got into one, so
it's
you would be knowing.
yeah, it's similar. It's similar
Sim-
as applying for PhD. Yeah.
PhD. All right. Okay. So I think one last question I would like to ask you is that what about language barrier and difficulties? Did you learn German prior to going over there, or you are learning over there? How is it like?
Yeah, one more tip for the people who wants to join a PhD in Germany, I would say like at least try to learn A1 or A2 while you are in India, because it's a different country, different language and everything. And for me, because I told you everything was very early, and I didn't got time to learn any language or prepare myself. So to be honest, it was like a big shock after coming here about the language.
Okay.
And but I mean, for in my lab, in my working environment, I didn't face any problem because everybody speaks English, and we have presentations, we have seminars in English. So, but if you want to connect with people like on a personal level, or you have want to carry out like day-to-day duties, you should know their language.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
and yeah, so I am trying to learn a bit here. So I mean, I have a lot of time, and if I'm in a different country, why not, to learn their language.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
but if you can, if you
I also know a bit of German, like wo wohnst du and
ah,
like
ik woon in Halle. That's good.
Guten Morgen,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, like
Yeah, that's the A1. Yeah, I'm also on the same level.
okay, okay, that's great. So I think that's a really good tip. Like if you are planning to go to Germany, if you have like if you're really motivated, I think learning the language is also an important part of maybe being comfortable in
Yeah,
Germany, I guess.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you'll have like, and easy life comparatively. You won't reach up to their level, but you'll get a base at least, so you can learn easily more
Right.
afterwards.
Like at least the basic communication you would be able to manage
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
got it. So I think Prachi, I think those were the questions that I had in mind. So anyway, thank you Prachi for taking your time, and I think it would definitely
I
be
should
helpful
I
to a
should
lot of
probably
students.
thank you, because I mean I kind of owe my PhD to you and your video, like how to get in Germany without IELTS and TOEFLs and stuff like that. So
I think you are doing the same now.
I
So
watched
I
that
you,
video for like, I don't know, 10 times, and yeah, I was like grasping everything Mahesh was saying, and I think it's really, you are taking out your time, and it's a great deal that you are doing. I really
thank,
respect you for that.
thank you
So
so much. Right. So
keep up the good work.
thank you so much. So anyway, I wish you all the very best for your
Yeah.
PhD, and maybe once you get
Thank
in,
you.
and maybe once you get into a postdoc, we can have an interview
Yeah.
again.
Sure.
So anyway, it was great talking to you. Thank you, Prachi.
Okay, bye. Have a nice day.
Bye. Thank you.
Hey guys, so I'm a verified educator on Unacademy, and along with that, I'm also available on the Unacademy Plus platform where I'm taking live classes along with other educators. So, in case you're interested in attending the live classes, you can subscribe to the Unacademy Plus platform using my referral code, that is SETHI, and that will give you 10% discount. Alright, and in case you're not interested in attending the live classes, you can watch the free courses that are available on the Unacademy. For that, all you need to do is go to the Unacademy website or download the Unacademy learning app and search my name over there, that is ACT. Once you do that, you will get the access to all the free courses that are available on the Unacademy platform. Alright.